Do you believe it? Do you believe? Okay, is there an American dream? Yeah. So
For
now, do
who?
you believe? No. So I didn't ask for who. So is there an American dream?
I mean, are you asking yourself that question? You asking
No,
me that
I'm
question?
asking out loud. Do you think there is such a thing as an American dream?
Yeah, there's been one that's been created for us. Yeah,
Mm.
there's a dream that's been created for
When you
us.
say us,
People in society.
anybody in American
Yeah,
society.
yeah, they've created what a dream could be.
Mm.
Now, what I would say, there's different paths for people to reach a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people got an easier path, some people got a more difficult path. And I would say that this is where you start talking about privilege, right? So people that are brown like us, our path is going to be much more difficult because of the way that the system has been set up against us, so that it isn't easy for us to reach this so-called American dream.
So when you say it's not easy for us, so that would assume that you can somehow make it. Not easy for us, but we can somehow make it to.
No, not 100%. I think there's parts of the dream that we can make it to, but it's still not going to be anything that's easy for us to achieve and to stick with it, because there's going to be all these little, as we talk about, micro and macro aggressions that happen on a day-to-day basis that lets us know you ain't fully part of the American dream. You may got some components of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got you a house, you got you a job, but guess what? When you walk outside and you get put up by the police, uh-oh.
Yeah, well, is that a dream or a nightmare?
That's a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So you got to think about those pieces.
So it is that piece too. So maybe there's an American dream that can be actualized by the dominant culture. For us, I don't think you can ever. There is no American dream that can be realized, fully actualized and realized for us. So, and I think it starts just in the language. See, we don't talk enough about just specifically what the American dream. So if I am considered African American, that means there's a little space in between African and American, a little hyphen, Asian American, Mexican American, all of those things. If there's a hyphen before, in my mind, what that hyphen is saying is you don't belong. If I have to put a hyphen before America and put a description of you, I'm saying that you really don't belong, because those from the dominant culture that present as European based, they don't call themselves Irish Americans. Maybe on certain days they do, if there's celebrations.
Mm-hmm.
But just on a day-to-day basis, they just have become Americans. But anybody that's got to have a hyphen in front of their name and a descriptor before that hyphen, just by definition in my world, that means I'm less than. It means that we are not considered fully a part of America. So if I can't be fully part of America and I have to have this description of myself, even as partially American, I can't, then you're telling me I can't fully actualize the dream. That I don't belong fully into that discourse of American dream. So I don't know if we can be part of the American dream if we know that we can't achieve employment at the rates of everyone else, and that educational shit is a mess. That I know when I go to get a loan that the tendency is to give me a higher rate than others. So
if you even get the loan.
Even if I get the loan. Yeah. So there's almost built-in barriers to the quote-unquote dream. Those obstacles and barriers are built in to deny access to said dream. So maybe, in my mind, I don't think we can get it. So LeBron James, Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, can Oprah Winfrey, they may have achieved high levels of success, but when Oprah goes into a store and they follow her.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making. Yeah, there's parts that you can.
So in one part could be the financial success. Yeah. Oh my God, you're gonna make $1 billion.
Yeah.
But if we don't recognize who you are and you walk into a store, we're gonna follow you just like you one of the rest of them. So that in and of itself tells you, ain't no dream here. Ain't no actualized dream that can be achieved. So there's a facade. It's bad faith. It's Jean-Paul Sartre.
Bad faith.
It's bad faith, saying that we've convinced ourselves that there can be an actualized dream, that America and the society has convinced us that there is a dream that we can achieve, all the while really deeply knowing there's no dream for us to be achieved. I can't ever really achieve it. So LeBron James, you may make $100 million a year and own a team and be a part owner and be the most dominant player on the earth. But when you go to your home in Los Angeles and they have written nigger across your garage and they know who owns the home, you can't, ain't no dream, that's a nightmare, right? So,
so as you asking that question, then the question becomes, then what do we do about that? What do we do about it, or what do we do with it, knowing this information, knowing this reality that we are faced with?
I don't know if there's one answer to that. But as we shoot this in the Marcus Garvey home, we had to bring Marcus's thought to the table. When you say, well, what do you do? Well, if we really believe that there is no dream that can be realized, then you have to start discussing options. All right, so what do we do? All right, if we know it's not going to be the option for us to be fully realized as citizens and chasing and achieving that dream, Marcus said, go somewhere, figure out, let's get out of here. But we know how well or short he was received in his message.
For sure.
Most people don't even know much. They don't even know, I mean, they've heard the name Marcus Garvey, but they did a good job of saying, hey, squash that. So I don't know. I don't know if there's an answer to what it is we do. But we're always talking about, therapeutically we use this frame, this ecological frame. I have to try to, Frantz Fanon talked about revolutions and decolonization. And one of the things that we've talked about ecologically is that if you're going to be part of a decolonizing revolution, that you have to first start with yourself. So I got to do my own work to say, all right, how do I see this? And how do I see myself as part of this bigger movement potentially that could or is or could be happening? I got to revolutionize my own mind. I have to decolonize my own mind before I can be part of something bigger ecologically. So,
and as you're going through that process, man, that's difficult, right? Because you got to have checks and balances. Yeah. Who do you have in your circle that can help you navigate that? Yeah. Because as you're decolonizing, right, obviously you're not going to know every piece, every bit, every decision, every stance you make and where it stands, but you got to have folks in your corner that you can talk to and debate with and figure that stuff out. Because if not, then you can be on a path and not even knowing if you're headed down the right path. Mm-hmm. Right? You can inadvertently be perpetuating whiteness and white supremacy if you don't have folks that can help you check that.
Well, Fanon said that the decolonization of a people can only happen through extreme pain. So if I'm decolonizing my mind, I'm arguing with myself continuously, right? What is the phrase that we talk about in cognitive dissonance? Came from Fanon.
Yeah, for sure.
And Fanon is saying, so before you can figure things out, you got to have the battle of cognitive dissonance in your head. Corey, why are you saying this to yourself? That's not what you were taught. When you grew up, you were taught to be gentle, because white folks would be nervous with you. So then I got to have a battle in my head that says, well, I don't want to be nice just to be nice, right? I think I'm a nice person, but I don't want to do it.
Overdo it.
I don't want to overdo it so I can make white folks comfortable.
Feel at ease.
My job is not to put them at ease. Now, if you are at ease because of my gentle nature, so be it. But I don't want to make sure that I'm holding the door open. I talk about it all the time. So there's a white woman walking 3 blocks away, I'm at the door at Macy's. I'm going to hold the door
Why
till
you on
she
the door so long?
Yeah, come on, because I don't want you to think that I'm being impolite. I want to be gentle and nice. So
But why you holding so long?
Because I don't want her to feel uncomfortable and nervous with me. She's 3 blocks away.
I'm nervous anyway, so I might even start walking slower because I'm. Why you holding the door?
Oh, see, now I'm in a precarious spot. I don't hold the door no more though. Now, if I choose to hold the door and you're there, so be it.
That's different, right? That's different.
Yeah, but I'm not waiting.
You're not overdoing it. Yeah.
No.
So as you talk about having this battle in your head, though, right? When does it turn into action?
The turn into action?
Yeah, because we can have a battle in our head all day long, but if we ain't really actualize it in our day-to-day action and works, then what good is that battle? I guess is what my question and my thought process is. So how do we make sure that we're not just having these thoughts and challenging ourselves without actually doing something different on a day-to-day basis? As you just shared your little story about holding the door, you're saying you're not holding the door anymore, right? What does that look like in practice inside the institutions?
So I don't think, Mike, it can look like any practice inside an institution until the individual has the practice within itself, right? So I can't stand in front of other people telling them how to decolonize a process if I haven't done it myself.
So I'm not saying decolonizer, but saying how do I start to even act on some of my thoughts?
Yeah.
Because if I'm just, as you said, I gotta wait till I'm perfect.
No,
that's the point. So some folks will sit and say, well, if I don't got it figured out, then I can't go stand in front of nobody. I can't make different decisions at work. I can't push the system this way. And what I like to say is that all that stuff takes practice. So you're gonna make some mistakes. You're gonna fall.
Yes.
You're gonna not get it right this time. But if you're not willing to even stand out there and try to make some decisions and try to do some things differently, try to challenge the status quo or challenge institutions, then what good is having those thoughts in your head? I mean, that's where I'm want to make sure I'm struggling with that, is saying that, it's cool to have this cognitive dissonance within yourself, but when you're going to have it within the institution that you are working for, or within the community that you're living in, or with the people that you encounter on a daily basis. To me, that's when you start to see it being possible to be actualized.
Yeah, well, I think that it's just like any other process. See, but the mistakes of engaging around race, we're very nervous about screwing it up, so we just don't do anything. But it is no different than any other profession. Consider it a profession. So the neurosurgeon that does surgery on the brain, is he going to be perfect the first time he does it? No. But and I got somebody's life in my hands. But I know as I go into my first surgery where it's me leading it, Ben Carson, I don't like to say his name too loud, but I'll use him. So Ben Carson, if you did surgery on the brain, you did neurosurgery, there had to be a first time that you said, okay, I read all the books.
And not on the cadaver, first time on life.
I got a life in front of me. So as I begin I'm nervous and scared. And I hopefully come out okay, and the person comes out okay. But you best believe when I do surgery number 10,000, my confidence is much higher.
For sure.
So I think this issue, concept of decolonization, talking about race, engaging past the process of cognitive dissonance, we have to step out to some degree on faith. Faith is the lack of knowledge. Well, I don't know how this is going to work. Right. So I'm gonna try it. And sometimes you try it and the outcomes ain't good. Man, I tried, I said that, and they checked me. So I may have to take 2 steps backwards. But it's a process. It's an iterative process. We have to keep trying it, which takes some gumption. You can't be, if you're scared to do it, you're just gonna shy away.
Well, that's the point I'm making, is saying I respect what Fanon is saying, about the battle within your head. I want to know the battle in your actions and in your conversations and in your decisions that you're making, because that's when you start to see, like I said, that's when you start to see it changing. Because without that, it's going to always stay the same. If it's just in my head, I'm just thinking about it. It's the thing about, critical thinking, right? So cognitive, you're critically thinking about it. But you ain't questioning nothing with it. You ain't questioning the outside world with it. You're not challenging the outside world with it. And if you're not challenging the outside world with it, then what good are you making it for the next people that's coming behind you?
my son, my daughters, right, my nieces, my nephews. I want to make sure that their opportunity is better than what my opportunity was. But that's about pushing. Now, as you talk about this practice piece, folks being scared and now maybe not necessarily willing to do it. How do we get people in spaces where they can practice this skill? Right? As you talked about the being incarcerated, well, he had a cadaver where he got to practice on a few times before he had to actually go in and make that initial surgery happen. So what can we do, or what spaces can we provide where this practice can happen? And I think something that we do very well, in the work that we do, is we always are going back, bantering back and forth with each other to sharpen, right? Iron sharpens iron, right? Yep. And so as we were having those conversations and dialogues and pushing one another and having people think differently, it helps you to go into a different space and be better to deliver certain messages, question certain things.
That's right.
Unfortunately, I don't know how many other folks got spaces like that to be able to practice and then go out and actualize it in their day-to-day work. I think that's the challenge.
Well, I think it's about conflict. So most people, they lean away from conflict. Most people don't want conflict.
What you do?
I lean into it. But I say it all the time.
Do you lean into it? Wait.
What you say?
Do you lean into it or do you create it?
I may create it.
I'll make sure you're on the same page. You create it.
Because if you create it, then you get to practice.
Yeah.
Right? So what do you do as a coach? We coach. What we do many times is create conflict in the practice.
For sure.
All right. So
we down 10, right?
Yep.
Foul him hard.
Yep. So because if we create conflict in the practice space, then we get to see how individuals act and react. And they then get to try things on, right? So we work with adolescents. What we understand about adolescents is they're in the developmental phase. Sure. So they're trying things on. They're looking for the boundaries. They're looking to practice things continuously. So if you can push people to practice tough things in artificial situations, right? That's what we do. So you talk about our banter, which is not an artificial thing, but we carry our banter into our professional development and our opportunities that we have in front of folks. We carry our banter into those spaces, and we create conflict in our conversations.
Yes.
We say, well, me and Mike don't agree on certain things, and blah, blah, blah. And then we put things out there and say, and we even argue and banter in front of our PDs and folks that we're speaking to, right?
Yeah.
So we're creating a level of conflict that people, it may be artificial, sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Right. That we're arguing and saying, I don't agree with you, Mike. Yeah, I think you're out of bounds on that. Good to see you. Yeah, I think you're out of bounds on that. I don't think you understand the concept. But that may feel artificial, but many times it's not. And people get to see that. And then what they get to do, we were just in a PD the other day with a group of folks from community corrections. And they saw through our safety and banter and conflict resolution that we showed, they began to feel safe enough to say, well, I'm going to say this. I don't know if a lot of people are going to like to hear this, but I'm going to say it. And in that moment, what was created was enough safety to practice.
Yeah.
And now other people said, well, they shared that. I'm gonna go ahead and share this. So now we've created a space in which you can, that as a therapist, I'm always saying, I want to create a space where people get to play.
Yeah.
I can play, they can play. And from that play, just like you said, you see your kids play in school. From that play, I learn, right? So if we get to play and things, we get to learn, and then we can carry that away. And then I may be able to practice that in a real life situation, in a real life conflict situation. I may be able to play with some of those pieces in an important way.
Yeah, it goes back to what we always talk about, is about people willing to be vulnerable. Are they willing, or are they gonna stay in a safe, protective space where I'm not gonna even open up to be able to have these dialogues and conversations? Because I think that's the real concern. Are people gonna let themselves be vulnerable to learn and make mistakes? Right, obviously I bring things back to school all the time. We ask our students every single day to come into school, be vulnerable, be willing to make mistakes, try to answer questions, maybe possibly get them wrong when you raise your hand or going up to the board to solve a problem or equation and whatnot. But when we ask adults to do that, oh man, hell no, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay in my comfort zone. I'm gonna stay in my safe space. And so by doing that, we don't necessarily push the system. We don't push the system. We don't push ourselves, which means we don't get better. We stay stagnant, and status quo continues to happen, continues to occur. And the real piece about that is that black and brown, we don't really get to do that. We always got to be one stepping out and pushing. We need to have our white counterparts stepping out and pushing as well. That's where the real work comes in. Are they willing to be vulnerable about their lack of knowledge or lack of understanding or lack of awareness to allow people of color to teach them?
Yeah, but why? But see, I guess the question is why be vulnerable? Why would they
don't
want
have
to
to.
be? I don't get
gain
paid
nothing.
more
Yeah,
to
I
be
know.
vulnerable. If I say, okay, I'm going to be vulnerable in this issue of race, in this space of race and racism, and I'm going to be an ally, you don't get no bump and raise for that vulnerability or that
Goes back to your damn
leverage.
question. The American dream can it be realized or actualized? I mean, what your answer right now is saying it probably won't, because if I don't see any benefit for me doing any of this work, personal gain or financial gain, why do it?
Wait, what is the piece that you talk about, the savings and loan? What is it?
What, the bank?
Yes. Like, why would people invest?
Yeah, why people invest, right? Do they see black and brown as a institution that's worth investing in, right?
That's an easy answer.
Why is it easy answer?
That's it. Will they see black and brown as an institution that is worthy of their investment?
Yeah.
Well, that's an easy answer.
It is. We will, in our work, we see it every day. Education-wise, when we talk about, are you willing to invest in black males specifically? No, because adults in our schools see those institutions as bankrupt.
Yeah.
They don't see that there's going to be any benefit on the other side. So why am I wasting my time, my energy trying to build a relationship with that student, trying to teach that student, when I already see what the data says? It says only 26% of y'all are going to be reading that grade level.
It's a lost cause.
It says that only 40-something% of y'all are going to graduate on time. Yeah, why am I wasting my time over there?
I'm not going to invest in that.
Yeah, I'm not going to invest in that.
It's a savings and loan. I don't know if it was like the mid 80s. Yeah, don't start singing.
How old were you in the mid 80s? How old were you in the mid 80s?
Hey man,
Mid 80s, I was still eating icy cups, and so what was you doing in the mid 80s? I was eating icy cups.
in mid 80s, I was just still.
I was eating Earls. Hey, I was eating Earls.
I don't know what I was eating. Obviously, I was eating a lot.
Yeah.
But
So what you know about the savings and loan? So
I don't remember what it was though.
loan?
I don't remember if it was like mid 80s. And shut up about the age, motherfucker.
Hey, you might be talking about my mom had them
Them little
the
booklets.
little saving things.
Savings and
I was
loan.
talking about and at some point they wasn't worth as much as they said. You buy them.
Raggedy.
I think you buy them for cheap.
Yeah,
With
I
a
don't know
different
how it
denomination.
works.
I think you bought them for like $25. They're worth $50, but it takes a long time for them to mature.
So it must be. So I'm not.
and they never matured.
Now I'm thinking about the name of it. So it must have been like you put money into a savings and then you can get loan. I don't know what it was. Whatever it was, it went under.
didn't work. It didn't
and
work.
people were like, man, I ain't investing in that. That's black and brown.
That's how they feel about black.
That's our community. Why would I invest in
I ain't
that?
investing in that. It's going under.
Or I'll invest just enough to have them shut up. Not enough real to have them really have opportunity to figure things out. We'll just invest just enough so they don't say nothing. And that they will have poverty pimps that will get paid enough to shut up. Just be quiet. Let me give you $12,000 right now. Hey, we'll make sure you get some money in your hand because you talk too much about this. So we want to make sure you get enough in your hand so you can be quiet.
So we can keep you quiet.
And then when it's time to come back to me and I give you another $17,000. But just be quiet.
On this issue, on this specific issue.
Right, and we know you're gonna keep coming back, but as long as we can keep you at bay and quiet enough to just don't talk about that. So what they end up doing is a version of paycheck slavery. Hey, the folks that could and should be leaders in our community oftentimes are paid off to not be leaders. This is not new territory, right? They were paying folks to infiltrate Malcolm and his crew.
Yeah.
They were paying folks to infiltrate Martin and his crew.
Yeah, for sure.
And Stokely and his crew, right? So they're not new territory. But why would we have true and meaningful investment in that community? They're not going to. So it means we got some buying power, but they've fractured our community so deeply that we won't even believe in investing in one another.
Yeah.
We'll convince. Well, I'm not gonna go to the black-owned place because they slow and they're not gonna get. It's not gonna be quality like the other cleaners or the other.
They water coated in our water, right?
Man, yeah, I'm not. I mean, I want to be supportive of black and brown owned, but they don't.
And you know what kills me on that piece is that we'll get bad service at a white institution, and we'll talk bad about it, but we'll go back to that white institution. We get bad service from a black institution, maybe just one time,
It's dead to me.
and we done for life with that black institution.
So they've done a
Now,
great
to me,
job.
that doesn't make sense. You know, innately that doesn't make sense, but I can understand how the system has brainwashed us to do what we do.
It's done a great job.
Right? It's done a great job brainwashing us to do what we do. So again, this is that cognitive dissonance piece of, so how am I having that battle in my head, but then how do I make sure that I'm practicing something different with that cognitive dissonance? Right? Because again, you say it's going to be one that wins out.
So
can I make the one that is supporting blackness win out more often than the one that's supporting white supremacy?
Because if the battle is ensuing, if the cognitive dissonance is occurring and the battle is happening in my head, sometimes I'm still going to make a bad choice.
Yeah, for sure.
But can I increase the number of choices that will be supportive of my community? And if the answer is yes, if I can build on that, I may change the full association of how I even see my community to where I say, I'm purchasing black-owned everything. Everything I do.
Yeah.
I put my money in black-owned banks. Right? So now I've moved into a new space. Doesn't mean we've arrived, but at least now the battle doesn't have to occur anymore. Now my natural move is to support only black and brown-owned businesses, which is not an easy task because sometimes they make it so hard to access. So we don't have. Is there a black-owned bank that's
not in Minnesota?
No,
not
so
that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
Right. So
I think the closest one is like in Chicago because I try to do something online and I'm just bad at doing stuff online.
Yeah.
So there are some barriers that may
be
happen
in
with us to be
place.
able to support some of these institutions on a regular basis.
Yeah. So I mean, you even think of. I know a couple weeks ago, or at some point, we talked about Colin Kaepernick and the NFL. Yeah. So I think, I'm not sure, but I think that it's upwards of 70+% of the NFL is African American.
Yeah.
If you said the top tier level of players in the NFL, it's probably 90% African American.
Okay.
So could we imagine if we found ways to gain investment and have a league that was centered on and for and by African American players? The NFL would shrink up. All of a sudden they say, hey, y'all can take a knee, do whatever, just don't leave. Right? All of a sudden the NFL's struggling.
Well, because you're hurting their pockets.
Yes.
Right? That's why some of those, we think about the Montgomery bus boycott, it worked because they started hurting pockets.
How long did that take?
Took
a
a
year.
year.
Yeah.
And we had to be steadfast on what we
They didn't break.
They didn't.
And you know, there's a lot of them who like, man, I got to take this bus, dog. I got to get over there. Hey,
But
no,
they was picking each other up.
I'll give you a
though.
ride.
They was picking each other up.
Hey,
yeah.
such and such name is going,
Yeah.
so don't do it.
Yeah.
But, so they figured out a way, a system in
support
which
each
to
other.
say, we can still handle our business, but we just not finna do that. But I think, and we talked about this a lot, Mike. We probably need to talk about it more. With the death of Martin Luther King, the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act of 64, 65, what many African Americans believed is, all right, we've arrived.
We got what we.
So once you arrive, because if you think back to previous to that, the black community was thriving and strong. We were getting married, staying married. There were many even more middle class African American households. We were doing pretty well because we had to be dependent on ourselves. We knew everything was against us, so we got to be dependent on ourselves. With the onset of the civil rights movement and the perceived arrival of the African American in the late 60s, moving into the 1970s, we said, okay, we made it. I don't need to be supportive of black-owned businesses. Now my money is good everywhere. I get to eat wherever I want in the 70s. And I can go to Sambo's and all that, right? I can do all those things.
Black on. So we can eat at different restaurants.
I'm done with that shit.
I know, but you ain't. We not done with it because because that is important. Right?
Yeah, it's important.
It's important, and we got to be mindful about where we spend our dollars and how we spend our dollars. Because if not, we will keep allowing these institutions to knock us out, so to speak.
Yeah.
Of that American dream that's elusive.
Yeah, it's an American dream.
Isn't it? Look, that's a different. Is it elusive? I don't know if it's elusive, or if it ain't even really there for us.
No. But elusive would mean. So a running back that is elusive or a point guard that is elusive means most of the time he can get around you.
Right.
But there's times you can lock him down. There's not times you can lock down the American dream for black and brown. So I don't think we could use we wouldn't use the language of necessarily of elusive, because elusive means, well, that deer is elusive, but I shot him. You're right. The American dream is not to be actualized for stolen Africans, right? It won't be actualized for us. Now, that don't mean you can't get some shit done.
Right.
That don't mean you can't have a nice home and drive a nice car, right? You can do some of that stuff. But then the fooling in a capitalistic venture, capitalistic society, the fooling of, because you have that home, which puts you in debt, because you have that vehicle, puts you in debt.
Now you're talking about education. Go get that college degree, put you in more debt. Yeah.
So it's almost a fooling of the dream that hey, I think I'm moving into a new realm. I don't live in that small house anymore. I live in a bigger house, and I don't drive that bucket. I have a nice vehicle. But we don't usually finish the story of I'm deeper in debt. I have less saving. And one of the problems that has happened for the descendants of chattel slavery is, for so long we've had zero. When we begin to have a little bit, we want to flash that. I want you to know what I got, so I'm going to spend it so you can see it.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about long-term wealth. I'm worried about letting you see this shit today.
Right now, today,
Yeah, I just got this vehicle. You see that, boy? Yeah, my shit look just like theirs. Now, is that all negative? No, because it can be understood that a young person.
Of healing too.
Yeah,
right. It's saying I missed out on some stuff.
Yes.
And I want to at least feel good in the moment.
So a young person that hasn't had nutritious and good meals forever, and then all of a sudden they're living in a home where there's food everywhere. They may begin to hoard food. They may begin to eat parts of stuff and throw it away. Like, God, there's food everywhere, right? Because I've never had that. So I don't really know what to do with that. I don't think...
I'm just eating to eat. I'm not really eating because I'm hungry, right? Yeah.
My mom said I always just ate to eat.
Yeah, that's why I know that.
I say used to eat. Hey, man, please put the burger now, dog. You can't eat that again.
I need two of them burgers, dog.
I need triples, yeah.
That's what he needs.
Zay, dog. That's my man's.
Yeah, but I just want to stick on this black business piece about doing simple things, right? Because as you said, it takes practice. We already know that it's not necessarily easily accessible in our spaces, but I know there's some different groups, especially in our city, that has black-owned businesses that people can access, and I don't know them all by heart, but I have been mindful in trying to make sure that I access those black-owned businesses regularly, more regularly than I had in the past. But again, how do we get more? Yeah, another gas station, right? How do we do it more, and how do we get more people to buy into that? So then, as we start to support these black businesses, then other black businesses can emerge and be supported. Because I know sometimes the view become like, if I go to a black business, I'm really giving them a handout. But no, that's what I'm saying. But that's how it can be perceived. And saying, no, I'm really using this service because it's a good service, and I respect it and I need it, right? I just want to, that keeps coming to my mind. How do we make sure that we are doing that piece? And that takes a little bit of research, takes a little bit of time, because again, in our space, there's not going to be a whole lot of those options. So you may have to go an extra 3-4 blocks or 3-4 miles to get that service out of your way. But are you willing to do that to support us? Right?
So I'm reminded of, so that is that concept of colonization. So I'm not going to join that movement that says black owned until I do some work in here.
Yeah.
Right? So we ask people to join and be part of, but you get many of us that are saying, well, I'm about to go to what's convenient down the street. And I ain't finna do that. That means I probably I don't understand why it's important. So you and me and the group saying, hey, it's important to engage black owned. If I haven't done my individualized work, I'll say, well, I don't really get down like that. That don't matter to me. So we should be pushing also at the same time as saying black owned, which was hey, have you done the work of looking in the mirror on where you are as a black man or a black woman and how this has impacted us? Because we have to do that work to recognize you did that work and you showed me. So you did that work. I wasn't thinking about, even when I started, I wasn't thinking about engaging black-owned businesses. I really wasn't doing, and I was starting to do some conscious level work, but then you began to say, so I get gas in black-owned businesses. I make sure as a director for an office, I engage black-owned businesses to do our vending and all those things. And you saying that out loud more and more made me say, so what am I doing about that? See, so I didn't show up and follow your lead and go over to that gas station because you said it. I first started saying, all right, what does that mean to me? And early on, I'm like, well, I never thought about that. So, and I ain't thinking about it today. But as time goes on, I start to consider for myself, Mike always be talking about that. Do I need to do better with that? Yeah, I probably do. All right, let me think through that. Right? So and I'm still doing it.
Yeah, me too.
Still thinking through. I mean, there's probably black-owned businesses that I could be engaging, but the convenience of these white-owned businesses saying, well, I'll figure that out later. I'm about to go right here, right now. That's a process.
Yeah, it's a process.
Right?
And like I said, some gonna win out, right? Because some days, man, I gotta get this gas right now because I'm gonna eat.
I ain't got time for that.
I can't go way over there because I ain't gonna make it. I'm gonna be stuck on the highway somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Or the store, I need something right now. I gotta be back in 10 minutes to get this done. So there will be times where that happens. I mean, hopefully we can plan ahead most of the times. But that's what happens when you're in a space like where we live at, where it's not easily accessible. So you have to be very planful with that, and we know that's not my strong suit.
Planful?
Hell no.
Not me either.
Not days, weeks, and ahead. I may be planning for the next 5 minutes.
My wife planful.
Yeah, that's good. See?
Yeah, because I'm glad.
Yeah, so is my wife. She
no plans.
Better than I am.
I'm sure I'm shooting from the hip, baby.
I don't shoot from the hip.
I shoot from the hip.
But I ain't that planful.
Yeah, I may be decently accurate.
Yeah, I'm shooting accurate. We all got some accuracy in
there. But I ain't planful, baby.
But you might hit somebody else.
I may. I didn't do that. Hey, that's true.
There are ways that we can support each other to try to make it better for us as we navigate that
and
state.
not in the pursuit of the American dream, but in pursuit, and I think that's a mistake to say the pursuit of our individualized dreams, because we don't come from individual worlds. Our community is collectivist. So we couldn't say that in the pursuit of our individualized dream, that's not accurate either. But on behalf of the broader collective, I don't know, we probably need to start to
think about that more.
Put some language on that.
We do.
Language is critical in how you convey a message.
Since you're the research guy, I'm going to let you go ahead.
Well, you did a PhD. Okay.
But you're the research guy right now.
You are too.
I'm practical.
Okay.
You're theoretical. Look, hey, you theoretical, I'm practical.
I want to be both and.
Yeah, me too.
I want to be both and.
Eventually I want to be both and, but right now I'm staying in the practical world.
Yeah.
While I'm struggling these first couple weeks in that program.
They're not going to let you stay in that practical world.
No, I'm struggling.
They're going to push you into that
fighting everybody.
You ain't going to work though. Yeah, I'm glad you're fighting. You about to get over here and just read that article. Summarize it. Yeah, that's what you about to
I
do.
got about 14 of them mugs.
Yeah, ain't going away either.
Yeah, that's right. But hey, but all that is for the collective, right? It's for the collective. If
That's
I can
right.
go in there, take care of business, and if I can push the system of the PhD process just a little bit further to be closer to what needs we have as Black people, then I've done my job for the next person to come in and be able to push it a little bit further.
That's right.
Right. So I guess I look at it that way, and I know sometimes that it can be discouraging, disheartening, because you sometimes feel like you're the lone soldier in there, lone wolf in there. But you got to know that it's for a bigger and better cause for the next person coming down. I think that's what keeps me motivated and moving the way that we move throughout our day and throughout our work. Because at the end of the day, we know there's young people coming behind us that will need different options, that will need better treatment, that deserves better treatment, right? That deserves to be employed because they got skill sets, right? That deserve to be able to navigate and be able to be in their communities or in other communities without being falsely accused or treated differently. I mean, that's what I think our work is really stand on. Yeah.
I agree. All right, well, I think that was good. We're going to just keep plugging along with these and figuring out what conversation, what message we want to touch on and talk about. We are never claiming the only answers and expertise. We're just going to speak from our experience. And maybe in the comments they check us. That's all right, though. I'll take that.
Yeah, please. You like conflict.
Yeah,
So that's conflict.
I'm arguing.
You like that
Whether
conflict.
you check, I'm arguing.
Yeah, that's what's up.
I may not be right, but I'm going to argue with your ass. So, thank you.
I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you for listening. We'll holler at y'all later.